serious accusations that in 2009 that you paid for an abortion. First question, do you know the woman that is making this allegation?
There you have Herschel Walker, a Senate candidate out of the state of Georgia, being asked a pretty serious question about allegations that were made in a new Daily Beast report, accusing Herschel Walker of paying for an abortion for a girlfriend he had gotten pregnant back in 2009. Now that story came with some receipts, literally. And it also came with a greeting card that was signed by Herschel Walker, hoping that the woman would feel better. Now, her name has not been made public, but she felt the need to come forward, considering the fact that Herschel Walker is running with a campaign that seeks to ban all abortions with literally no exceptions. None. Even if the woman's life is in danger as a result of that pregnancy, Herschel Walker would not support an abortion for that woman. And so it makes him a little bit of a hypocrite if it turns out that he was urging a former girlfriend to have an abortion, that he paid for it. So how did he answer Hannity's question? Let's watch.
I have no idea, but it is a flat out lie. And now you know how important this seat is. This seat is very important, that they'll do anything to win this seat, lie, because they want to make it about everything else except what the true problems that we have in this country is.
Now, Farron, much like other interviews that Herschel Walker has done, he didn't do himself any favors, in my opinion, with how he handled these questions during the Hannity interview. But I do want to get your thoughts on all of this. I mean, calling GOP candidates hypocrites or Republican lawmakers hypocrites, I think is like so cliche at this point, because you could do it every day with a variety of issues. Do you think this is going to affect him in any way?
I don't know. I mean, as it stands right now, I don't think it has. The rallying of support that we have seen from the entire GOP, from all of these anti-abortion groups out there, the forced birth groups, basically, they're doubling down on their support. They like the guy. They think, yeah, this is the guy. This is the guy we're gonna send to the Senate from Georgia. And we're talking about a party that wants to jail people who help people get abortions. I mean, in their own eyes, in their own words from the last month, Herschel Walker should be in jail. But instead of saying, okay, well, now we're gonna have to prosecute you under these laws we were working on, they're saying, hey, everybody makes mistakes. He's a changed guy, Eric Erickson says. No, he's not. I mean, this guy is who he's always been. It's just now getting exposed. And of course, the Republicans in a rock and a hard place here. You can't just suddenly abandon it because you want that seat. And we're now seeing how far they're willing to go to do their mental gymnastics to defend a guy that stands for everything, that does everything that they claim to hate.
You know, in this 24-hour news cycle, the news moves so quickly that it's easy to forget that not so long ago, the Republican Party very aggressively supported a Senate candidate out of Alabama, Roy Moore, who had credible sexual abuse allegations against him from women who were minors at the time, who were as young as 13 years old at the time. And did those credible allegations change the hearts and minds of the Republican voters and the Republican establishment that was backing him and supporting him? Of course it didn't. Because while today you hear Republican politicians and candidates incessantly fearmonger about innocent teachers sexualizing kids, not too long ago, they themselves basically gave sexual misconduct, sexual assault victims a massive middle finger. People who were allegedly children when these incidents happened gave them the middle finger and said, F off, we want Roy Moore in office. We want to give this alleged predator even more power. And so you can shut up now. I mean, that was essentially what happened. And to me, this abortion issue is just another example. What you see from these politicians is this effort to sow fear into the electorate toward whatever scapegoat they want to target. But when push comes to shove, they have no problem supporting candidates who have urged women to get abortions, who have paid for women to get abortions. It's all about political power. It's all about power accumulation. All you have to do is go back and see how the anti-abortion movement gained momentum in this country. Jerry Falwell didn't say a damn thing about the 1973 Roe v. Wade ruling. He didn't really seem to have a problem with it until he realized that if religious leaders start rallying on that very issue 5 years later, well, then they can use their, religious organizations and their religious voters as leverage in these elections. And that's how they essentially were able to captivate the Republican Party. That's the way this works. It's all about power. It's important to understand that. They don't care about any of these issues at all. But at the end of the day, while they accumulate power, the groups of people they target, of course, lose rights. They get targeted by unhinged lunatics who have bought into the fear sold to them by Republicans. That's what's really going on right now. Anyway.
Well, isn't that kind of the magic of today's Republican Party and the Republican Party of the last 50 years is making people care about things that actually don't impact their lives at all, right? This abortion ban, if you don't want one, don't get one. I mean, it doesn't affect your life. A single transgender athlete in the state playing a sport. Now you've got every conservative in the country up in arms over that, whereas even just 3 years ago, they'd be like, what do I care? I don't watch women's sports anyway. It's not the NFL. But they convince these people that this is the thing that matters to you. This is what's really going to affect your life. And that is, I mean, honestly, it is nothing short of a work of magic, convincing people who are struggling to get by, living paycheck to paycheck, that their economic problems caused by Republican leadership, that those don't matter. What matters is whether or not two men can get married. What matters is whether or not a woman that you don't even know and have never met can get an abortion. And we don't want that to happen because that, I guess, affects you somehow. And these people buy into it. They say, yes, this is how I vote then. It is crazy how they have just brainwashed an entire, third of the country into thinking these things matter.
Well, they tap into issues or they use the kind of rhetoric that tends to stoke fear in people, right? So when they talk about the issue of abortion, I mean, obviously they use words like murder, even though we're having a conversation about a zygote oftentimes. The vast majority, or an embryo, vast majority of abortions happen in the first trimester where a fetus, or I should say an embryo, is not viable outside the womb. But they use the terminology that triggers a part of your brain that leads to fear. And I think that fear, unfortunately, kind of overshadows what the focus should really be, which is the fact that these voters, all Americans who aren't in that top 1% category, are being robbed by these politicians and the corporate interests who are in their pockets. But I do want to go to the second part of this interview because Hannity, can't believe I'm saying this, but to his credit, brought up the receipts. The woman had provided a receipt showing the payment for the abortion, a personal check that was given to her by Herschel Walker to the tune of $700 to help her pay for the abortion. And so he was asked about that, along with the greeting card that he had sent her out telling her to feel better. He had signed that. Here's how he handled that part of the conversation.
They're claiming that on September 12th of 2009, that the woman has a receipt for an abortion. They're claiming that 5 days later on September 17th, you sent a $700 check and that you sent it in a get well card. The get well card, it looks like it's included with your signature in the article. Have you seen it? And is that your signature?
I haven't seen it, but I can tell you, I send out so many get well, send out so much of anything. But I can tell you right now, I never asked anyone to get an abortion. I never paid for an abortion, and it's a lie.
What about the $700 check? Is there anybody you can remember sending that much money to?
Well, I send money to a lot of people, and that's what's so funny. And let's go back to my part. I do scholarship for kids. I give money to people all the time because I'm always helping people because I believe in being generous. God has blessed me, and I want to bless others.
So do you want to bless your ex-girlfriend with $700 to make sure that she has the funds necessary to pay for an abortion? Because it seems like that's what happened. And by the way, the Daily Beast independently corroborated details of the woman's claims with a close friend she told at the time, who, according to the woman and the friend, took care of her in the days after the procedure. So look, in my mind, there's really no question as to whether or not he did this. And from the commentary I'm seeing from conservatives supporting him, seems like they've accepted that he's done this as well. As you mentioned, Farron, you have Eric Erickson saying like, he's a changed man. Okay, all right.
I do also love, it's like, look, I write checks to a lot of people. I send a lot of get well soon cards. How many abortions are you paying for, man? Like, do we need to go through all these receipts at this point? I mean, it's bad enough you're hiding the kids that you do have. And then over here, you're like, nope. How are you picking and choosing the process here, by the way, of who gets to stay? It's terrifying, but at the same time, you gotta feel a little sorry for his campaign handlers too. I mean, these people, look, they deserve it, but at the same time, they have to deal with this. Like, they have to craft these responses. They had to heavily coach him before he sat down with Sean Hannity, and then to watch it all go down in flames because he can't, form a cogent thought is absolutely hilarious. But I'll tell you what's not hilarious is the fact that during that Hannity interview, Herschel Walker got at least $50,000 in donations from Republicans. $50,000 during that clip on Sean Hannity's program, because as we've talked about, the Republicans don't actually care. They just want the seat more than anything, and they're willing to put aside all these alleged values that they have to hold on to it and open their wallets to this man. This is just a level of nuttery. I didn't even think it was possible, but here we are. And this will probably be, we'll look back on this in 3 years and be like, well, that wasn't as bad compared to whatever stupid scandal happens in 2025 at this point.
I mean, at this point, it's, this GOP candidate actually hung someone. Well, he's a changed man. He's a changed man. I mean, he did that 5 years ago. He's different now. Okay, he's different now. It is ridiculous. But again, for me, this goes beyond Herschel Walker, right? I think people get stuck on the story right in front of them without taking a step back and looking at the larger ramifications of what is transpiring in this country. People are losing rights that had been granted to them nearly 50 years ago because of this conservative strategy to latch onto manufactured culture war issues to distract from the robbery that's taking place by corporate interests, and B, to accumulate power for themselves because they need something to campaign on. So this is what they campaign on: fear, thoughts of basically doing away with rights that people have had for decades, like getting involved in what kind of sex people are having in the privacy of their own homes. You've got Clarence Thomas salivating at the idea of overturning gay marriage in this country. It's disgusting. That is what politics has devolved into. And at the heart of it, I really do think it's because we're not ruled or governed by politicians who want to serve our best interests. We are governed by corporate interests, okay? These are all puppets for corporations who just want to make sure that they can continue lining their pockets with our money, with this endless redistribution of wealth from the bottom to the top. That's what's really going on.
Yeah, absolutely. And they sell that, like you said, with the culture wars. That's how you get the people on board. Because if they actually knew what the Republican Party's plans were, especially heading into the midterms, what are they talking about? Possibly getting rid of the VA. I mean, 9 million veterans here in the United States could lose their healthcare access. Privatizing Social Security, continuing to destroy the US Postal Service. I mean, getting rid of Medicare and Medicaid. These are things the Republicans have talked about within the last 2 or 3 months. The VA thing just came up a couple days ago. And these are real things Republicans want to do, but you can't run on those, obviously, because those are terrible. So you run on the issues that you think is just red meat for the base, which it is, and that is, let's take rights away from these people that aren't you, right? We're not touching your rights yet.
Yeah.
We gotta do the others, because that's what it always comes down to. There's always, for the Republican Party, been the others. And those are the ones that you have to be afraid of. It's been black people in the United States with Ronald Reagan and his welfare queen talking points and the Southern strategy. It was immigrants during the Trump years. It was anybody from an Arab nation during the Bush years. It's always the others that you have to be afraid of, and we're the only ones that can protect you from them. And this is now. All the pain and suffering you're experiencing economically is due to the others, right? It's the immigrants taking your jobs. It's, the reason why you're feeling this instability and all this fear is because of those Muslims that are pouring into our country. I mean, name whatever poison they want to put out there, right? Every year it's something different. But I just wish voters took a moment to question what it is that's actually happening in this country that's making them feel so miserable. And I don't know, I just feel like if we had media that actually conditioned us to think critically about these issues, and if we had the ability to actually focus on the powerful and what they're up to rather than the powerless and how they're really not up to anything that's harming us, I think we'd be in a better place. But I think there's so many different elements of our society that need desperate reform. Maybe the fairness doctrine, as it were, decades ago, can't be implemented in the exact same way today, but we need something that ensures that these media bubbles, like there needs to be a breakthrough, because as long as we're all siloed off and as long as we're all just focusing on echo chamber news that confirms what we already believe, we're gonna be screwed. People are not thinking critically about what's really going on in the country.